Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2021 Custom Formula 2 season. This is round number 5 for the round in the United Kingdom, the Silverstone circuit. And as usual, we skip right to the end of qualifying. Mick Schumacher scores pole position. This time we will start in second position with our main title rival Yuki TSUNODA in third. I say title rival. We've had a pretty rough start to the season and we're not really in the title fight as of yet. I'm sure we'll get there at some point. I hope we do, or this series will feel a little pointless, but let's get into the race.
Welcome to Silverstone, one of the staples of the Formula 2 Championship. It's a firm favourite amongst fans and drivers alike, and we're all keen to see what it has in store for us in today's race. 5 miles out from Towcester, this icon of British motorsport heritage comprises 18 corners over 3.6 miles of circuit. Silverstone has been through several changes over its lifetime, with the start line now leading into Abbey, a fast right-hander for turn 1. But still there, of course, is the circuit's most famous and iconic sequence of corners, starting at Maggots, turn 10. Joining me today in the commentary box is former 2012 GP2 champion Davide Valsecchi. We all know the circuit so well, Davide. What's got your attention today?
Always a pleasure, Alex. Everyone looks forward to Silverstone, and with such an intriguing grid, I think the fans will be excited for the start of today's race. We know these young drivers are hungry to prove themselves. Hopefully, we'll be seeing some more history being made today.
Here is the grid for today's race, which will be starting shortly. Mick Schumacher lines up on pole position, and starting alongside is Sean Gelael. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Tsunoda, Ticktum, Robert Schwartzman and Matsushita, Armstrong, Joe, Markelov, Felipe Dragovic, Alesi, Ilott, Christian LUNDGAARD, and Giotto, Samaya, Sato, Daruvala and Pedro Piquet. Mazepin, Aitken, Nissany, and Louis Delatraz starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So in case you missed it on the intro sequence there, we are 40 points behind Yuki TSUNODA in the championship. We sit in third, but now we need to beat him on circuit if we want to get that gap back. We go to the 5 red lights and away we go for the feature race here in Silverstone, and it's a great start for us as we rocket our way down towards the first corner, and we easily take the lead from Mick Schumacher, who was on pole position, but he got a pretty poor getaway from the line, and we absolutely nailed it, and we will get through the first sector first as we weave our way through turn 3, 4 and heading through to 5 shortly. We have gotten a small gap to Schumacher, and we need to extend and push as hard as we can in this race and make sure we take the win, take the fastest lap, and absolutely maximize this opportunity that we've got at the front of the field at the moment. We continue on to lap number 4. We're already jumping ahead in this race, but you can see a few little mistakes there through Maggots and Beckett's, and Schumacher has not let us go as he's sitting in the slipstream. He's got the DRS advantage. Yuki TSUNODA is there as well. We're going to get swamped here in a straight line if we're not careful. Thankfully the corner comes up pretty soon, but we're deep and Schumacher gets through. We do hold off Yuki TSUNODA just about, but now we're going to go back up the inside of Mick Schumacher as we run side by side. Schumacher leaves us the room and we have to give that one up. We just can't quite get there, and TSUNODA up the inside as we lose the back end. A bit of contact with the Japanese driver and we drop in behind TSUNODA, and our teammate now getting past as well, and now Robert Schwartzman down the inside of Ticktum into the first corner. Schwartzman backs out, thankfully, otherwise that could have been a bit of an incident there. We get back up the inside of Schwartzman up into turn 3. Schwartzman defended there a little bit late, and that didn't give us a lot of room. We were very deep into turn 3. We did manage to make the overtake work on Robert Schwartzman, get back up into 4th position, but we've just dropped the positions to the 2 cars ahead of us in the championship. Mick Schumacher and Yuki TSUNODA now ahead of me, and we have our teammate to deal with as well, Dan Ticktum, who is running now in the podium places at his home event here in the UK. So we have a lot of work to do to get back up the order. So let's just get our heads down and try and minimize those mistakes that cost us so dearly right then. Meanwhile, Christian LUNDGAARD retires from the race with a mechanical failure, unfortunate for the ART driver, and along with him, Pedro Piquet also has a mechanical failure. Didn't catch that one on the replay cameras. Now into the pits we go for our first stop. We couldn't really match the cars ahead for pace, and the reason is we have damage to our front wing. That was from contact with Yuki TSUNODA. I didn't actually notice it at the time, but it was affecting my pace, and now the front wing gets changed along with the front tyres, and that is going to cost us a massive positions. You can see the pit stop now costing 17.2 seconds. That's more than 10 seconds longer than the average Formula 2 pit stop, so that is a disaster for us, and we have plenty of work to do now between where we currently sit on lap number 11 and the end of the race at lap 29. So we need to push like crazy if we want to get back into the top 8 and hopefully get a reverse grid pole. Any hope of a podium in this race is now gone with that front wing change, so yeah, it is going to be a tough one, but now we begin to battle away with the Russian driver Nikita Mazepin, and we get up the inside a little bit deep. Mazepin switches back, and we're going to run side by side towards the club section, past the pit entry. Down the inside we go, and we will finally get that move done on Nikita Mazepin and move ourselves up and into 16th position. We have a lot of work to do in this race if we want to get into the points, let alone score a reverse grid range position. But anyway, we get past Marino Sato as well, and along with someone making a pit stop, that puts us up into 14th position, and we have Guilherme Samaya up ahead, the Brazilian driver in the Campos. Hopefully we should be able to clear him soon enough, as we set the fastest lap of the race without a purple sector, 3 greens, so we're good everywhere but not the best anywhere. Now anyway, we continue to gain ground on Guilherme Samaya as we sit behind the Brazilian, and we'll try our best to overtake him along this next straight. We'll have the DRS advantage. Samaya is not close enough to the next car ahead of him, who currently is Jane Deruvala, also not running in the points for Carlin, so that's good for our team's championship hopes. But now we go down the inside of Samaya, lay it on the brakes into Brooklands, and we get the move done there on Samaya, and that puts us up into 13th position. Next up, as I mentioned, is Jane Deruvala, who currently sits in 12th behind Luca Giotto, and we need to pass the two of them as we get up the inside of Deruvala, and we need to pass Giotto as well as Nobuharu Matsushita. Then we'll be in the points, but we need another 2 places on top of that if we want to get reverse grid pole or any more significant points than that. So as we continue on, as I mentioned, we have Luca Giotto up next, and we really gain a lot of ground in the first sector as we run a little bit deep, but I think we may be able to pass Giotto here if we can get close enough. We're trying to go a lane wider through the corners and stay out of the dirty air. Helps us with the mid-corner speed. On the exit we sort of run out of road, and that really hurts the exit speed, so didn't really work out for us on that occasion, so we have to wait all the way up until Stowe corner, and now we might be able to make a move down the inside, late on the brakes, too late though, and Giotto's got to switch back here. Surely we wait for him to appear, but he never does, and he slots in behind, and we make that position work somehow on Luca Giotto. Next up is Matsushita in the MP Motorsports car, and he sits in 10th position rather. We sit in 11th as we try and chase down the Japanese driver, and now towards Stowe corner once again. We're going to see if we can make that same move. Sorry, this is towards Brooklands rather, as we head up the inside, and we'll make that work on Matsushita. And now we are in the points, so our fastest lap will also count, and that will score us a few points as well. But where we sit now, we can't afford to lose this many points to Tsunoda. He's already 40 points ahead of us, and he will be more than 60 points ahead if he wins this race. I'm not sure how things stand at the moment at the front, but that is certainly a possibility the way this race was unfolding. We go up the inside and make the move stick and get ahead of Giuliano Alesi. That puts us up into 9th, so we need one more position and we'll have reverse grid pole, and we still have plenty of time left in this race. We're only on lap 17 of 29 as we really push the limits through Maggots and Beckett's. Completely missed the apex though there through the left-hander, but now we are closing in to Robert Schwartzman, the Russian, in the Prema, and we will see if we can get past him, as he does not have the help of DRS. You can see the speedway gaining here, and we're going to go for the move late down the inside of Robert Schwartzman, and we'll get ahead. Maybe a bit of contact made there with the Russian, but we make the move stick on the Ferrari Academy driver, and we make our way up into the top 8, and that is crucial for our race and for our championship hopes. And now we can just focus on just gaining as many points as we can. Any more than this, that is just a bonus from where we've come from. We send it down the inside of Felipe Drugovich. He did not see us coming there, but we made a move relatively cleanly. Bit of contact made, as Drugovich did not see us on the apex at all, but we got through and are ahead of Felipe Drugovich. Now, as we chase down the Russian driver Artem Markelov, and now we will see if we can close the gap through turn 2. This is probably our strongest part of the circuit. I don't know why, but we carry so much more speed through there as we squeeze Markelov to the outside, and we get through on the other Russian driver in the field. 3 Russians in this field. We're now ahead of all of them, and now we shift our attention to Marcus Armstrong in the ART. The other ART, Christian LUNDGAARD, out of the race, so Marcus Armstrong flying the flag solo for ART, and we are about to put a move on him. We're actually gaining a lot of speed here as we head towards Maggots and Beckett's. Can we squeeze through? No, there's not enough space there, and we have to back out of that one. We're never going to make a move at that part of the circuit unless you have more than a significant overlap. But now DRS open for us as we sit in the slipstream of Marcus Armstrong. He's got DRS off the back of Guan Yu Zhou, but we're going to see if we can get past anyway. We have got more slipstream, and we go down the inside of Armstrong and get the move done through Stowe Corner once again. Bit of a happy hunting ground for us, Stowe Corner, and now.
Reminder, we are critical on fuel, probably a lap or so short. We don't need to risk a DNF chasing records, so think about starting to conserve fuel.
That is not good. Low on fuel. I'm not going to worry about that for now, and we're going to try and focus on overtaking Guan Yu Zhou. You can see taking a very wide line there, trying to get a good exit and trying to line up a nice punchy run out of these corners. And now we sit close behind Guan Yu Zhou, and we might be able to make a move, not into Cops, but maybe into Maggots and Beckett. If not, we'll be close. So here we go, carrying the speed through Cops, but we had to back it off a little bit because Joe was quite slow, and we have to wait all the way until Stowe Corner. Once again, we're still not close enough to Guan Yu Zhou, and we're trying to carry the speed a little bit wide on the exit. Can we make a move down into the club section, down the inside of Guan Yu Zhou, late on the brakes, and we get the move done on the Chinese driver and make our way up and into 4th position. So we are flying through this field, and next up is Mick Schumacher. Dan Ticktum, our teammate, has found his way up into 2nd, and as we make a mistake into the club section, Yuki TSUNODA must now be in the lead as Guan Yu Zhou tries to go back up the inside, and he gets through and finds his way back up into 4th. We're going to see if we can fight back though against the Chinese driver as we continue on trying to push the limits as TSUNODA sets the fastest lap. We're going to try and make the move down the inside of Guan Yu Zhou once again into the club section, late on the brakes, missed the apex. Zhou to the outside as we're on side by side, and we really push him out and off the road there as we slide our way through the final corner. No control there as the tyres are going away from us, and now as we continue on to the final lap. That is the fuel issue that Jeff mentioned. We were running low. I decided to ignore it because it is a Formula 2 race. You don't normally run out of fuel in these, but it has happened to us, and we are absolutely bleeding positions here. We're not going to score points. We're not going to be in the top 8, and we're probably unlikely to beat anyone in this race as we now try to move out to the way. Unfortunately, the racing line is kind of following us around wherever we go. Now we finally find a place to get out of the way. We can just roll to the finish line, but that is a disaster, and we have dropped more or less to the back of the field. Jack Aitken is a long way behind, along with Roy Nassani, after they've had difficult races, but that
pick up rubber and bring it home.
Has ruined the end of our race. And after what was a really strong comeback drive to probably finishing 4th or 5th, that has dropped us to the back.
A great win then for the Carlin team today. And Davide Valsecchi, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
I think this race was won thanks to the tire management. You have to remember, it's not just about going as fast as you can. It's about consistency. It's about maintaining your speed over the entire race distance. So being able to keep the lap time competitive while still respecting the tires, that's where they won today.
And there you have it, today's winners. Having raised some of the biggest names in F1 to date, Carlin have once again shown their expertise when it comes to recruiting new talent. No doubt today's winners have a bright future ahead of them. They certainly deserve it after today's performance.
So Yuki Tsunoda wins the feature race here at Silverstone. Dan Tickton finishes up in second position at his home race, with Mick Schumacher in third.
Now then, Davide Valsecchi, who would you say was your driver of the day?
Let's give it to Luis Del Tras. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
Well, there we have it. What a disaster at the end of this one. We needed enough fuel to get along the Wellington... Nope, the Hangar Straight. I'll get them right one day, probably. Not. Yeah, we need enough fuel to get along the Hangar Straight, the run to the club section, and then the short run to the finish line. 3 straights. We were all away from an amazing comeback drive. I don't know how we run out of fuel. It's a Formula 2 race. There's a set amount of fuel you get, as far as I know. I've never actually tried to change it, but I don't think you can. So I don't know what I was doing, but somehow I was using a lot more fuel than what was expected, and yeah, that was costly in the end. Maybe after Jeff's told me to save fuel, I probably should have checked and started saving, but to be honest, I assumed that was just a glitch, or I don't know. But either way, we were warned about low fuel, and yeah, I chose to ignore it. Chose to fight for the position more. To be honest, I could have just sat in the DRS and the slipstream of Guan Yu Zhou and probably saved a lot of fuel that way, but that's easy to say in hindsight. So yeah, unfortunate, but that's just the way it goes, and we will learn from that next time. If we're warned about low fuel, I'll actually check the fuel burn and see how that plays out and how it looks for the rest of the race. But yeah, unfortunately it just wasn't our day today, and it is going to be a very tough sprint race starting from near enough to the back of the field. In a race with no pit stops, it's going to be difficult to fight our way forwards in that race. And once again, Yuki Tsunoda will be starting in 8th position and has a good shot at some decent points from there with the pace he's shown so far this weekend, going from 3rd to 1st in that race already, showing that he can fight his way through the field. So yeah, we're going to be something like 65 points-ish behind Tsunoda in the championship. I'm not sure if he got the fastest lap in the end or not, but 65, 67 points, something around there. So we have a ton of work to do. I believe it is 67 points, because yes, Tsunoda did in the end get the fastest lap of that race. So we have so much work to do in this championship, and we're nearing the halfway point. It's 12 rounds. This is round 5, and we can't have any more of these races.
We're back. For the second race, we've reversed the top 8 from yesterday, and everyone here is getting ready for what's shaping up to be a thrilling conclusion to the weekend.
Okay, here we go.
Alright, not messing around, we're getting straight into the action here for the sprint race at Silverstone. 5 red lights. and away we go. And it's an absolute rocket ship launch once again, a bad one, very bad for Louis Delatraz. He went nowhere off the start, and we're side by side with Callum Eilert around the outside. It's going to be tough here, and Eilert holds on as we don't have any space to work with there, and we're going to try and switch to the outside, now to the inside, and we get a whole bunch of overtakes done up into turn 3, and we're side by side with Guilherme Samaya and Nikita Mazepin. We get past both of them, now around the outside of Jan Daruvala, but we can't quite get the Indian driver in Carlin, our rival team in the Teams Championship, and Daruvala holds on. We continue on to the end of the first lap, and Daruvala is our target as we try and line up an overtake potentially here into the club section. A great run, and we're going to try and go down the inside of not just Daruvala but also Giotto, and we're going to get there. The Italian leaves us some room, and we make the move on both of them and find our way up into the top 10 already in this race. So if we can get the fastest lap, that's 2 points where we currently stand, but of course I want more with the way this championship is playing out. Tsunoda and Schumacher are getting tons of points every round. We need to absolutely maximize this race and the opportunity that we've been given by having this fantastic start. We have a genuine chance of probably a podium if we can continue to push forwards at this rate. Of course, the overtakes will get more difficult, the field spreads out, and we'll start to get caught up in more battles as such. But now towards Magazepec, it's on lap 2, and there is a lot of cars still up ahead of us. That's Robert Schwartzman who spun around. Guan Yu Zhou is involved as well as Artem Markelov and one of the Red Bull cars. That's Yuki Tsunoda, Dan Ticktum, and so many others involved in this incident. Just up ahead of us, we thankfully were able to get through it, you may have seen, but here's the onboard with Robert Schwartzman. He just spun. There's the hit from Guan Yu Zhou, and many other cars involved in that one, and that has taken out a good portion of the field. Half the field caught up in this, and that is Marcus Armstrong getting through. But here's the onboard from Guan Yu Zhou. Probably had the biggest hit of the lot of them, head on into Robert Schwartzman. He had nowhere to go, and Guan Yu Zhou has taken significant damage. Mick Schumacher caught up in the incident as well. That's 3 cars. Here's the onboard with Artem Markelov. He almost gets away with it, just gets tagged by one of the cars at the rear end of his, and this is Yuki Tsunoda as well getting involved, our title rival, and he has been caught up in this as well. So what a disaster. We try and sneak past Artem Markelov, but he maintains the position as we have to give it back under the yellow flag conditions. The full safety car is out after that, and there is still more unfolding behind us as we continue through, and
Daniel is out of the race.
Dan ticked him out of the race. Here is what he saw of the incident, and smack straight into the back of Guan Yu Zhou. What a disaster. And he was actually still okay. He continued for a few meters and then immediately pulled off, so that's unfortunate. Matsushita was involved as well, and he comes to a stop. And here's the race director after all that madness has played out. You can see Schwartzman with 2 5-second penalties, Mazepin with 1, Marino Sato and Dan Ticktum with penalties as well. Ticktum out of the race, so his penalty won't mean anything. Schwartzman will have to pit for damage, as well as I think Nikita Mazepin. So I think Sato is really the only one who will be affected by their penalty. But meanwhile, Giuliano Alesi leads the way under safety car, and he will continue to do so when we eventually get underway for green flag running once again, and we have somehow through all of that chaos found our way up into 5th position. We've only got 4 cars between us and the lead, and with Tsunoda taking damage as well as Mick Schumacher being involved in that incident. I think Schumacher is okay though, and he still sits on the road in front of us. He currently is in 3rd position. Tsunoda is going to lose points in this race to both of us, and we have a potential to gain points on both of them as we get up the inside of Markelov. Schumacher fighting away and just about staying ahead of Armstrong there as we now try and close up to the Kiwi driver. Markelov though didn't really leave us a lot of space on the apex there. We're well up the inside, but Markelov turning in very harshly, and we had to really force our way through there. Markelov just did not see us coming on the apex there, and just kept turning hard left into us. But now we are closing up to Marcus Armstrong, and we have a very similar close moment there heading into Maggots and Beckett's to what we did in the first race with Marcus Armstrong, but we still remain behind the Kiwi driver. And now on the exit of Maggots and Beckett's, we've got a good run in the slipstream. No DRS yet, but we're going to try and go for the move around the outside as we head towards Stowe Corner. We're going to see if we can pull this one off around the outside of Marcus Armstrong, and we'll get the move done. Maybe a bit of contact made there on the exit, but we get ahead of him nonetheless. And now shift our attention to the fight for the lead. Just up ahead of us, Mick Schumacher is putting the pressure on Alesi, and the two of them are pushing each other quite hard as Alesi briefly had the fastest lap. We now take that and chase down Mick Schumacher, trying to carry the speed through turn 2 as we have done. And now we'll go up the inside of Schumacher into the village section, but Schumacher gives us the big squeeze on the apex. Bit of contact made as we bang wheels, and now we continue to run side by side through the loop, through Aintree, and we'll eventually get ahead of Mick Schumacher as he finally leaves us some room on the exit there. And we find our way up into second position now on the back of Alesi as we head to the outside towards Copse Corner. This is going to be a tricky one to pull off, but we're going to go for around the outside of Alesi, and we get the move done on the Frenchman as he gives us some space on the outside to work with there. And we've taken the lead here at the Silverstone circuit in the sprint race, and that is absolutely perfect. Now we just need to try and pull away, extend the gap, set fastest laps, and make sure we maximize the points haul we have here. As out of the race goes Jack Aitken, unfortunately for him. Continuing on then, and we have team radio.
As things stand, we'll be third in the championship.
Okay, so third in the championship as things stand, so that won't change. We were third coming into this round. I'm not sure what we were after the abysmal first race that we had, but yeah, we're back into third as things are at the moment, and that is good news for us, but still many points behind Yuki TSUNODA. If things finish as they are, I think we'll be about 50 points or so behind TSUNODA in the championship. So yeah, we are making a net loss this round, unfortunately, but if we can maximize the sprint race, that is all we can do to at this point to try and minimize the damage dealt to us this weekend, and there's still more than half the season to go, so anything can happen. But meanwhile, Artem Markelov, after running strongly in this race, is going to retire, and that is, I think, Jain Deruvala getting caught up on the back of the Russian, and he now has damage as well, so that's unfortunate for Jain Deruvala.
Okay, slow down. Your delta is negative.
And that also brings out the virtual safety car as that happens, as Marino Sato, notably there, is up into 4th position with that penalty, so he might not stay there, but Marino Sato is running well in this race, and he will be one of the drivers to really benefit as we lose the back end over the curve there on the inside of Maggots, in the entry to Maggots, but we just about get away with it, and we have to sail across the runoff there to maintain control, but we didn't gain any time, didn't get even a warning for cutting the course there, but there you can see sliding sideways across the sand, and we just about managed to save it and keep the car pointing in the right direction. But that inside curve of Maggots was very brutal at that point, and you can see a few other little mistakes coming into it here on the exit of Luffield, and now Alesi's right behind us. We have to defend into Copse Corner, and we will just about hold on to the position, but now both of them, Alesi and Schumacher, putting the pressure on as Schumacher now tries to gain ground on Alesi, but it's not going to matter because as we move on to the final lap of the race, this time we are going to make it to the end. We're not going to run out of fuel, and what's more, we are going to score maximum points in this one as we head around the final few corners. Can we set the fastest lap to get those 2 bonus points? It was a purple final sector.
Great job, you've done everything we wanted today.
And I think we may have just done it. What a finish to this weekend, making up for the first race.
A great win then for the Dams team today. So, Davide, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
The safety car made a big difference today, there's no doubt about it. I can't be certain, but it would have been a very different race and probably podium too without it. What I do know is that they came out of that situation in a favorable position. The safety car really does alter the balance of the race.
And I can see our drivers making their way out now. It's been a sublime team performance, and it's the culmination of a lot of hard work. Dams are your winners today.
So we take the win here in the sprint race at Silverstone. Giuliano Alesi finishes up in second position with Mick Schumacher in third.
And so, driver of the day then, Davide Valsecchi, who do you think you'd go for?
I think it's got to be Sean Galeon. It's not always spectacular, but he quietly gets the job done, and that's the case today.
It was great having you with us for this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you when Formula 2 returns.
So unfortunately I didn't actually show it on the screen there, but we are exactly 50 points behind Yuki Tsunoda, 16 points behind Mick Schumacher in the championship currently. We sit in third, so it's Tsunoda, Schumacher, myself at the moment, and this race was very, very lucky, I have to say. There is no way we could have won without that crash. They held up so many cars at the start, damaged a few, took Tsunoda out of the running for the win for any kind of points in this race, and that's the lucky break we needed to get back into this fight, because 67 points behind we were heading into this one. It was always going to be very difficult, but now 50 points, maximum points for us in the sprint race, none for Tsunoda. I think, wow, that was a big hit with Guan Yu Zhou there, but yeah, I think it might just be possible now. If we have a solid run of results for the next few rounds, we might just be able to get back into the fight and just about get there, but yeah, it's not going to be easy, and we may need a little more luck to go our way, but yeah, for now we couldn't have done any more in this race. Maximum points, as I keep saying, and yeah, just chipping away and trying to get back into the fight. We still lost points overall this weekend. We came in 40 points behind, we leave 50 points behind, so that's not good enough. We need to continue to gain ground and not have this back and forth continuously going on. So we can't afford to give up a single point in the next round. We need to absolutely maximize everything that we can, and we'll see where we stand at the end of round 6 and heading into the second half of the season. We can evaluate our chances a little better, but for now we've given ourselves a platform, I suppose, to build on for the rest of the season, and we've finally had a really solid race where nothing went wrong for us, and we were able to capitalize on the opportunities that were presented to us, and we were able to come across to take the win. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.